in question issues, but of course will only apply to the state of citizenship at the time of the choice or at the time of of death. These rules are universal rules and therefore apply to member states citizens as well as to non-EU citizens having their usual residence in one of the EU member states. Moreover, the regulation envisages the creation of the so-called succession certificate. Two more regulations that date back to later times will be considered. One dating back to 2016 about the matrimonial property regimes and the effects of registered partnerships. Well, actually, both of these regulations were enacted in January 2019 and therefore regard registered partnerships further to that date. Once again, these are universal rules that therefore apply to all the EU member states. Now, lawmakers wanted to use once again the choice of the applicable law for matrimonial property regimes, thereby allowing the subjects to choose such applicable law. Whenever that is not the case here, to the law regarding the residence, the habitual residence of one of the two subjects or both partners shall apply. Whenever there is no choice, the applicable law will be the one enshrined in Article 26 about the applicable law for matrimonial property regimes. And this also regards registered partnerships. Now, these regulations complete the set of rules included in the succession regulation, but there's a clear interplay between patrimonial property regimes and succession issues. Well, after this short introduction, we're going to examine the regulations more in depth. Having said that, I wish you all a fruitful meeting. And now Giovanni Liotta has the floor. Thank you very much, President Marino. Thank you also. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks for gathering us all here in Palermo. Let me briefly lead you through the history behind this seminar, which is part of an EU co-funded project about notaries in Europe. Its name is ELAN, E-L-A-N, and this is one of the many webinars or seminars being held around Europe. Originally, it was supposed to be a webinar indeed because of the pandemic, but then we decided we should try and meet in presence and therefore decided to overcome some technical problems. I mean, there used to be, for example, a Malta-Palermo direct flight, but unfortunately that is no longer the case, and therefore our colleague Mr. Pisani has had a difficult journey. I wish to thank him for being here all the same. And several colleagues are with us online from Malta as well as Hungary, Portugal and the Netherlands. Having said that, let me go into the heart of the matter. Well, you may have gathered from some emails that we're now going to briefly go through the subjects already highlighted by our chairman, and then we'll go through some practical cases, hopefully enabling us to get a better understanding of such regulations. And with Mr. Cappiello, we are more specifically going to try and give a sort of an economic explanation of such regulations. Indeed, there is, of course, the ENN that you can become become members of, precisely in order to get some help to deal with cross-border issues. So why such economic analysis? Well, because many of the regulations, of the EU regulations or directives, including the 3 regulations we're going to talk about today, precisely come from some economic analysis that are then mirrored in some legal rules. So, for example, the succession regulation precisely orbits around all of that. So, having said that, let me now again go into the heart of the matter and give the floor to our colleague, Mr. Pisani from Malta. Thank you very much. You are going to speak Italian, is that true? No, he's going to speak English. Okay, thank you.